Hello, I'm Cheshire, and since I put together a Totoro cosplay, I figured I would do a Studio Ghibli films tier list. Yeah, this is great. I disappear for a while once again and then come back with another tier list. I enjoy tier lists, they're fun. So yeah, another tier list video because I have not finished any of my video essays because it takes a while for me. And I wanted to do a Ghibli tier list because, you know, everybody has their own opinions about Ghibli films and I wanted to put mine out there, I guess. So these are all my opinions. You may agree, you may disagree. It's perfectly fine either way, because that's the thing about opinions, is everybody's allowed to have them. I'm also going to try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible, just because I think some of these films are better when you experience them for the first time without kind of knowing anything. So I'll be vague about some things, and I wish I could do like an in-depth, not spoiler-free review of everything. To be fair, if I don't actually like talk about the plot and stuff, this video will be shorter. So yeah. Before I start and I show the tier list, I will explain what films I have there, and it is only films. So none of the TV series that like Ghibli or Miyazaki or Takahata have done. So I know there's often questions and such about what counts. Like, if you count Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind as a Ghibli movie, then do you also have to include Castle of Cagliostro? But if you're including the Castle of Cagliostro, why don't you include other things? You know, it's kind of that question. So what I've done, because I do count Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind as a Ghibli movie, I have also included the Castle of Cagliostro because it is Hayao Miyazaki's directorial debut. I have also included Isao Takahata's prior Ghibli films. So I'm including The Adventures of Horace, Prince of the Sun, Panda Co-Panda, and obviously The Rainy Day Circus, The Castle of Cagliostro, Jurinko Chie, and Goshu the Cellist. I'm also including The Red Turtle because The Red Turtle is made by Studio Ghibli. It was just in collaboration with Michael Dudok-Lewitt. But I'm not including Mary and the Witch's Flower and Modest Heroes because while they were made by Studio Ghibli veterans, they were not made by Studio Ghibli. So it's 30 films all up I have on the list. So, if you did see my last video, you would know that I had all the tiers named weirdly, so they all kept the first letter of the tier, S-A-B, but I had actual names for them, and I'm very proud of that. I did not do that with this tier list. Instead the tiers are sounds I hear on TikTok often, even though I'm not on TikTok often. So for the bottom tier, it's We Don't Talk About Bruno. No, no, no. So basically these are the films that I'm not inclined to talk about, because that is what the title suggests. These films, if you like them, no issue. It's just, well, I'll explain when I put films in there. So the tier above that is emotional damage, because these are the movies that, while I think they're brilliant or very enjoyable or whatever, I can't watch them very often because of how much emotional damage I get put through when I watch them. I get dehydrated from how much I cry. Above that is Cielo Luna Metsumare, because according to lyricstranslate.com, that means there's a moon in the middle of the ocean. So these are basically like the middle of the list, even though I know it's not technically the middle of the list. So these are films that I like, that I enjoy somewhat. I just might not be like, you have to watch this movie. I'll always explain when I get there. Above that is Freddy, you're supposed to be on lockdown. Vanessa, life goes on and on and on. Yes, I am on Security Breach TikTok. So basically, this tier, it's like, I really loved these movies, like I really enjoyed it, but they didn't consume my every waking moment like the films above them do. So essentially, I watched them and life goes on. Above that, So the second tier, our A tier, is Sorry Girls Hate Me because I'm the girl, even though I know girl, so it's not the lyric. Essentially these films are the it girl. Like that's just what they are. So, you know, if you're asking me which Ghibli films do you think are essential, or do you love the most, or whatever, those types of questions, this is the group I'd say. I have a feeling this is going to be the biggest tier out of all of them, but despite like these movies being the it girl, they do not compare to my top 3, which go into Love Grows, Where My Rosemary Goes, because every time I watch these 3 films, only 3 films going in here, my love for them grows more and more. So after that long-winded explanation, let's get into it. Up first, we have Horace, Prince of the Sun, which was Isao Takahata's directorial debut. And Hayao Miyazaki was one of the key animators. So it looks like Hayao Miyazaki worked on it. Horace himself is so cute, as some of the other characters, and the character design of the rock giant is so cool. I love it. I actually really liked watching this film. To be honest, a lot happens in a short amount of time. Like, the movie isn't that long. It's just over an hour, I think. But a lot happens, and a lot of it just happens all at once. I felt exhausted. So I don't think it was a bad film. I hope Isao Takahata is proud of this as his directorial debut, but it's middle of the range for me. It goes into La Luna. There's not much more to say about it. I really liked it. Like, I'd watch it again, but I don't think it's essential viewing. So next we have Panda Ka Panda. Isao Takahata directed it and Hayao Miyazaki wrote it. So this film and the follow-up, The Rainy Day Circus, are both about half an hour long, and they were played in cinemas before the Godzilla movies. That is how they were released, and I just find that fact so amusing. I really, really like Panda Ka Panda. You can see so much of like future Ghibli in the movie and in Rainy Day Circus, so I think it's really charming. It's a good solid half-hour watch. I would recommend it to people. I think it's great. I mean, the father panda very obviously looks like Totoro. Mimiko with the pigtails, classic Miyazaki. I think it's a very solid half-hour film. So, Vanessa. And then the follow-up movie, The Rainy Day Circus. I don't think it's as good as Panda Ka Panda. I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. I just think Panda Ka Panda is better. So I'm going to put it right with Horace, Prince of the Sun. I think that's a good place for it. Now, we come to Hayao Miyazaki's directorial debut, The Castle of Cagliostro. See, this is partly why I kind of insisted on having The Castle of Cagliostro in this video. Because The Castle of Cagliostro is not one of my favourite Ghibli films, because it is not a Studio Ghibli film. But it is one of my favourite films of all time, period. I love The Castle of Cagliostro. I can watch it over and over and over again, and I will never get tired of it. I just love it to bits. So, I need it in this tier list, but I can't be unfair to other prior Ghibli films. So, this is the it girl for me. It is not in the top 3 because it is not a Ghibli film, but it is the it girl. Also on that, in Panda Ka Panda, if you've seen it or if you go to see it, at the very end, in the big crowd, you can actually see Lupin and Jigen in the crowd, and I almost cried when I noticed. I was so happy to see that. Next we have Jurinko Chie. I liked it, but I found it really hard to focus. You know, it's almost 2 hours long and it feels very bitty, but there is lots I liked about it. So it is going in, you know, in our middle, in La Luna. Then we come to Goshu the Cellist. I loved this movie. It is 63 minutes long, such a solid 60 minutes. It It is written and directed by Isao Takahata. It has the music of Beethoven in it. Shunji Saida was the key animator for the film. What I really appreciate about him is that he learned to play the cello so that he could animate a cellist's finger movements correctly. I think it's The It Girl. I do. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I love this movie. Written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki, score by Joe Hisaishi. This is where we start to find like the classic Ghibli film. Like, such a solid film. I think it's so well done. I really do. It's just, I know I enjoy other Ghibli films more, so I think I'll put it at like the top of Vanessa. Yeah. I'll see how I feel about that at the end. Next one, Castle in the Sky, the first official Ghibli film, written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki once again, score done by Joe Hisaishi. This has my second favourite score of any Ghibli film. I love Castle in the Sky so much. This movie for me is one of the It Girls. And Supernova, beginning of March, I will be cosplaying Sheeta, and I'm so excited. Next, look, if you know, you know, and there's no question about it. I think Takahata did an amazing job with this movie. It's just, you can't watch it more than once because it's so shattering. Okay, on to My Neighbor Totoro. Written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki, music by Joe Hisaishi. This film is the Ghibli film. It is the It Girl. I feel like it's a little hard to explain what I mean, but A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, most people agree that the Muppets Christmas Carol is the best version of it. And while it's not because it's the best adaptation or anything, but it's because it captures the Christmas spirit perfectly. I think that's what My Neighbor Totoro is. It captures the feeling of Ghibli perfectly. It's just... it's Ghibli. So next up we have Kiki's Delivery Service, which, when it was made, it beat out Akira for the most expensive Japanese animated film. I think Kiki's Delivery Service is great. I think it's a beautiful film. I really enjoy Kiki's Delivery Service. Like, there's not kind of much more to say about it. I really enjoy it. I'm gonna put it before Nausicaa. Next up is Isao Takahata's next film with Ghibli, and this is Only Yesterday. I love Only Yesterday. Taiko reminds me of my mum a lot, so I am a bit biased towards it. I think in terms of like Isao Takahata films, this is the It Girl. Even though Gashu the Cellist is already there. Porco Rosso. Finally, we get our first movie into Love Grows. This is my second favourite Ghibli film. I love Porco Rosso. It just makes me so happy. Moving on. Ocean Waves. We don't talk about Bruno, no. And I would love to leave it there. So I don't think this is a good film, straight up. I don't think this movie has any redeeming factor. This is the harshest I'm gonna be this whole video, by the way. Like, for most of them I can give everything credit, but like this, I can't. The plot is contrived, the ending's annoying, this main girl is annoying. Look, if you enjoy this film, good on you. Honestly, good job. I'm glad that you like this film, that you can enjoy this film. Good for you. We don't talk about Bruno. Moving on. Pompoko. This film is so charming, and yet I can't watch it. Once again, Isao Takahata just rips into my chest and squeezes, because so much of this movie is just so goofy and charming and amusing. I mean, it's not as shattering as Grave of the Fireflies is. It's not. You can rewatch it, but it's just not something I choose to rewatch because it upsets me so much. Yeah, I know, I'm a child. Why am I this affected by a movie? I can't help it. The humans win. And it's awful. Because that's real life. I do think it's worth the watch. Of course it is. Anything above We Don't Talk About Bruno is worth the watch. But it's just I can't watch it. Which is upsetting because I wish I could. I wish I wasn't so emotional. Whisper of the Heart. I like Whisper of the Heart. I do. I mean, considering it's the precursor to The Cat Returns, of course I like it. But Whisper of the Heart, like, hits me personally. So I enjoy this film more than most people probably do. Because I'm a writer. I've always loved to write, and my parents have encouraged it my whole life. And that feeling that she has where she's like, I have to finish this, I have to finish this. And then the relief she feels when she's told that it's fine and she just cries. I totally understand that. I finished writing my web series and every time somebody's like, "That's it's actually really good, Chesh," I cry because I'm so relieved that I've put something out there. I put something, my heart and soul into this thing, and it is actually maybe good. Just because it just hits me so hard personally, it is The It Girl. Princess Mononoke, one of the greatest Ghibli films ever made. Like, straight up, it is not one of my favorites, personally. Just simply because it's not because there's anything wrong with it, it's just not. But I understand how amazing of a film it is. So while I enjoy Castle in the Sky more, I will put it before Castle in the Sky, because I acknowledge how amazing it is. And next up, we have My Neighbors the Yamadas. I adore this film. It's an easy watch. It's enjoyable. I love it. I'll put it after Nausicaa, I think. Yeah. Spirited Away. Yeah. Is this a shock? Should this be shocking? You can't see it, but my no face mask is up there. Spirited Away is my favourite Ghibli film. Like, how can it not be? It's phenomenal. I mean, many people do consider it to be the best Ghibli film, and I agree. I adore it. Like, what else is there to say? The Cat Returns. I do love this film. I watch this film all the time. And there's just something about it. It's zany, it's a little wacky, it's my type of wacky. I think I'm gonna put it at the top of Vanessa. For now, we'll see how this goes. Next is Howl's Moving Castle. It's beautiful to watch. The score is beautiful. It is, and despite the fact that I don't watch it as often as some of these other films on the list, I do acknowledge my great love for it, and everybody else's great love for it. So I will put it at the bottom of The It Girl. Tales of Earthsea. This breaks my heart. Because I was mean to Ocean Waves, because that was the meanest I was going to be in this video. I said that, and it's true, because I can't be mean to Tales of Earthsea, because it breaks my heart. Because it should have been a good, competent film, and it's not. We don't talk about Bruno, because, like, the movie itself, like, I don't want to talk about it. Ponyo. Ponyo was the first Ghibli film I ever saw, so this was my introduction to Ghibli, and I love it. I am a bit traumatized by the end song. So when I was in year 6, I went to a private girls' school, and from kindergarten to year 6 you had to do compulsory Japanese classes, but we had to do a performance for our Japanese class, and so our teacher chose the end song of Ponyo, and like there is nothing inherently wrong with the song, but after you sing it like 200 times, it gets on your last nerve and you can't hear it again. When I was taking my mother through like all the Ghibli films, most of them, like for her sake, we watched them in English because like I'm okay with it for most of them. Some of them we didn't, like Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro, just no. But Ponyo, like we did watch it in English. I mean, Liam Neeson as Ponyo's dad and Kate Blanchett as her mum, like, whew. Like, I'm gonna watch it in English. But the credits started and I picked up the remote because we were watching it on Netflix, and then I changed it to Japanese and I was like, wait, this will be funnier in Japanese. And Mum's like, right? So I change it. And then the song is starting and I turn to her and with this dead straight face, I go, Ponyo, 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 Sakana Noko, and she goes, no! She knew exactly what it was. It has been, what, 14 years? Like, and I still know the words and she still, like, knows it by sound. Like, hilarious. And I love it. I do. Not as much as The Cat Returns, though, I will say. So I don't know. Maybe I should... For or after My Neighbor's the Yamada. You know what? Thanks, Teach. Just for that song that I had to hear 1,000 times. It's going after My Neighbor's the Yamadas. The Secret World of Arrietty. This is so frustrating to me. Because The Secret World of Arrietty, visually, is perfect. Like, no exaggeration here. Visually, it is perfect. And audibly, it is perfect. It is, like, if you want to do sound design, like, for films or TV or for theatre, like, you have to watch The Secret World of Arrietty because the sound design is perfect. It is spot on. But that is the best things I can say about it. I don't want to be mean about it. I still think it's worth a watch, especially if you want to be like an animator or in sound design. But I just don't think it's as good as some other films. Yeah, I think the top of Chandler Luna, because I do recognise the good things about it. From Up on Poppy Hill, I could spend quite some time talking about conflicting themes and messy plot lines and that interesting part of the story. But when I watch From Up on Poppy Hill, none of that matters. It doesn't matter. Suddenly these conflicting themes and messy plot lines don't matter. I don't care about them because I can just enjoy the movie. And also, From Up on Poppy Hill has my favourite score. Like, if you know me and I'm like, yeah, this has my favourite score, you listen to it and you're like, oh yeah, that checks out. So I acknowledge the problems, but the fact that it does have my favourite score of any Ghibli film elevates it to being one of the it girls for me personally, but for most people, I acknowledge that that is probably not the case, but favourite score. Okay, we have our last 5 now. Onto The Wind Rises. This would go in emotional damage because I audibly sob every time I watch this movie, but The Wind Rises is my 3rd favourite Ghibli film, and it would be my 2nd if I didn't cry so much. I love this film, as shattering as it is. My love for it overrides that, which is why it does not go in emotional damage. This film means so much to me, and I don't think people get that, which it's fine because art speaks to people in different ways. That's just the way it is. but this movie speaks to me. Like, if I sit here any longer thinking about it, I will just start crying. Which isn't helpful, since our next film is The Tale of Princess Kaguya, and I cry so much at the ending of that. I'm very tempted to put Tale of Princess Kaguya into emotional damage. Yeah, I'm gonna put it into emotional damage. But like, here, this is, come here. So, goes The Tale of Princess Kaguya, Pompoko, and Grave of the Fireflies, because that's the order of how much damage. Like, from least to most damage, that's the list there. So, but Marnie was there. Beautiful, beautiful film. It gets me every time. I think it's a wonderful film. And I think it's a film that's really easy to love. So it is not going in the It Girl, even though it probably should be there, and From Up on Poppy Hill shouldn't be there. This is my list. I love From Up on Poppy Hill more. So next we have The Red Turtle. The Red Turtle is fascinating. So it's silent, and I think it tells a very solid, interesting, condensed, that is not the word I'm looking for, but it's the word I'll use, condensed story in a short amount of time without using words, and that's a hard thing to do. It's certainly worth at least one watch. It's very arty, and many people are not into that, and that is perfectly fine. I mean, it's a little bizarre as well. I can acknowledge that it is a little bizarre. Yeah, not trying to say it's not. In comparison to everything else on this list, I think it goes after Horace. Yeah, I think that's where I'd put it. And then we have our last one, which, okay. We don't talk about Bruno, but it's not for the reason you think, okay? I think people wrote off this film. I think people are way too mean to Earwig and the Witch. I'm gonna switch this order, by the way, from like their Ocean Waves, the very, very, very bottom. Earwig and the Witch. People are way too harsh on this movie because it's 3D animation. Straight up, stop being so mean to this movie. Criticize it for what it deserves to be criticized for. So, this is basically We Don't Talk About Bruno, but with an asterisk. And the asterisk is unless. It is a fascinating film to watch. And if you really want to see that classic Ghibli style in 3D animation, so worth the watch. Because it's so interesting. But the movie itself isn't amazing. Earwig, as the title character, she's so annoying. She is so unlikable. And there are such solid moments of animation. I'm thinking of this particular scene, that I'm like, wow, that was actually so good. It doesn't make up for the pacing of the story. It moves so strangely. The pacing is not good. And while the backstory, while it's interesting and it's really well told and it makes sense, it doesn't give me any sympathy for the way they're behaving now. There are problems with this movie. I just think people are too harsh on it because it's 3D animation. And Miyazaki put his stamp of approval on it, so you can't hate it. And that was the video. Yay, I filmed it. I filmed something, which is good, because I've had so much difficulty with that lately. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I know I can be awkward. I say too much. I pause too much. But when I have the motivation for making a video, I enjoy it. And so it's nice when people watch. So thank you for watching, if you did. And I suppose wait around for another few months when the next video, whatever it will be, is released. Bye!